So as of recording this, my birthday is March 20, 2006. I am currently 19 years old. I've made a couple $100,000 online in the last couple of years, and I want to talk about my plans to get to 1 mil in liquid. I'm not talking about 1 mil on a payment processor. I feel like everyone can show that. I'm talking about 1 mil sitting in a bank account or in an investment account, whatever that looks like, right? And I've got about 24 months to do this. That's when I turn 22, and I want to do this by 21. I think my goal ever since I started business has been 100K a month. If I hit 100K a month before I die, I'll be happy. But I think I'm going to hit 100K a month in the next year. So that's insane. Like, that's insane to say. But I want to hit this goal of having 1 mil liquid in the bank because I feel like that's a nice number. You throw it into the S&P or private equity, and you get a solid return on that every year. Obviously, you'd add to it, and from there on, you're good. Like, you are forever good. You don't have to worry. Like, obviously, if you have a crazy lifestyle, you need more than that. But the truth is that, like, I don't live a crazy lifestyle purposefully. I see so many people playing these status games, these zero sum games, and I recommend reading the Almanac of Naval Ravikant if you don't know what I'm talking about here. But like these kind of zero sum games where it's wins for nobody, and you're basically portraying a lifestyle or renting cars or buying expensive stuff or living in an expensive penthouse or living essentially above your means with a incentive to use that to make more money, right? That is what 90% of people do. And by not doing that, I am 100% going to be able to get ahead, right? By not living a lifestyle, not selling, by buying, and ultimately just saving money. I think so many people don't understand the difference between like making revenue and having money come in through your business and actually keeping money. Like those are very different things. I know so many people that have millions of dollars in payment processors, millions of dollars that they've generated. And that looks amazing on paper. You look at that and you're like, holy shit, I did that? That's the same feeling I get when I look at my payment processor. I'm like, holy shit, there's that much money that I've made through there? But then you look at your bank account and it's like, how the hell have I made like almost like 500K or something? And I have like less than 100 to show for it. This is the situation that 99% of entrepreneurs deal with. It is extremely painful. And I want to talk to you about my plans to beat this curse and build an actual bank account like, or an account just with a million liquid in it, right? Which sounds insane to say, but I'm sure it won't sound very crazy to me 2 years from now. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm doubling down on my B2B partnerships. Okay, like I have seen, I've made money in a lot of different ways in the last year. I've made money doing some coaching, more primarily from my agency, which basically helps home improvement businesses with ads and AI. And that right there, that business has made me 90% of all of my money, right? So what I'm doing in, 2026 here in the next 24 months is I'm doubling down on that business model. Right? I'm establishing longer term partnerships with bigger companies, increasing their ad spend and actually scaling their businesses predictably instead of just running a small ad spend for every single client that I have, having it, extremely difficult to manage a bunch of clients and focus constantly on acquisition. And instead, I'm going to be focusing on more longevity with longer term partnerships that increase with time. Right? The most money I've made have been from individual clients and companies of mine that have paid me over like 50K, right? And if I can just stack 20 of those, that right there is a mil. But obviously with a business model like that, with an agency of any kind, the margins aren't perfect. And that is where everything else on the side comes in at the end, right? As of right now, recording this, I currently run an agency that is my majority of my income. And then I have a program as well where I'm helping guys start agencies, basically an insane product, an insane community of guys that's in, that are all working towards the same goal, including me. And By kind of being like, by making these videos, I'm attracting people that think like me, right? People that don't care about the shiny things, people that want to build real long-term businesses based on product, right? And by attracting those types of people, I'm connecting a ton of people in my program that can then, we can all use each other's information and then scale our agencies even further and make way more money by doing the grunt work, which is just selling to businesses, like growing local businesses with our knowledge of marketing, right? That is my, I guess, overview of what I'm going to plan on doing. So for the next 24 months, it is one thing and one thing only. It is growing my agency, getting more clients, getting a better proof of concept. Once I have that better proof of concept, which I already do, to be fair, then going into a more specifically pay per lead model so I can scale companies by increasing their ad spend and basically charge performance. So my retainers will go up for every single client for every month, and then my LTV for each client can be like 20 to 50K. And then from there, all I have to do is sign a ton of clients, right? And just maintain and manage the current clients that I have. And I think the biggest, most helpful thing for anyone watching, if they want to get to, 100K liquid or a million liquid or whatever it is, the biggest thing is to not spend your money. To not live a lifestyle behind your means. Like, yes, I could go to fucking anywhere. Except Spain, if you know, you know. But I could go anywhere. Live a cool life. I could have been in Dubai for New Year's or like all this stuff. No. Fuck all of it. I have played these games before. I have been to Dubai. I've been to Europe. I've been to Greece. I've been to Spain. I've been to all these places. New York. Like, I've been there. I know how it is. I know what these people are doing. I had a client, or like or not a client, but a guy reach out to me on Instagram the other day and ask about trying to grow my business, or like the coaching side of things, which everyone seems to be interested in, and not the actual agency, which I find interesting. But he reached out to me and he was like, I want to help grow your business. And then he had a picture of a rented Lamborghini on a bridge that I've seen in Dubai. That immediately told me that I know exactly what's going on and I would never work with that person. Like, people can't see beyond these games. Like, how are you ever going to build something big without being able to see past these games? I don't care that I don't get to spend my days driving around fast cars with my friends. I don't care, because I'm building something bigger. Something that actually has longevity. I'm not spending my money at all. My lifestyle right now costs me like literally $900 a month total. And that includes business expenses. I made a decent amount of profit this month and last month because I've been more focused. And I've kept all of that. And I plan to do that for the next 2 years. I don't plan on upgrading my lifestyle. Like, yes, I'm going to Florida for like 1 month to literally just like get more sun so I have an easier time working all day. But like, not a Miami or anything crazy, just, a basic spot, normal place. And this entire year for me is just work. I even got invited to go to Marbella with like a bunch of really successful entrepreneurs, guys doing anywhere between 30K a month to 300K a month, all around my age, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 20, 25 or so. And I said no. One, I can't go to Spain, but even if I could, I wouldn't go, because the truth is that like, I don't care about traveling this year. Like, I'm trying to do what no one is willing to do. Every day. Wake. Work. Sleep. And that is what's going to get me to the next level. Okay, I don't care about these frequencies and these abundance things and these like, oh, if you go into a bigger place that scares you. You're like, no, I'm at my parents' place. So I can save as much money. I don't want to move out until I have like literally 500K liquid. Like, why would I? I've rushed to do this before and I was like, what's the point? Like, I'm literally just making it harder for me to make gains. Like, you don't make more money if you're in a, if you're spending tons of money in survival mode. Like, if you don't sleep enough and you're like spending all this money and you're just like wasting all of your time and like networking, like, no. I know what I need to be doing. I know what's highest leverage for me. So I'm going to do that every single day for more than an entire year. And that is how I'm going to get there. Okay? I'm not going to sit and say here like I have hundreds of thousands of dollars in my bank account. I don't. I very much don't. Right? But I understand now, especially after going through some of the hardest moments of my entire life, having to say goodbye to a lifestyle like that. Sometimes you have to take a step back to take 2 steps forward. And if you actually want to get to that next level, I'm talking like next level. I mean, you could ask any of these people, any of these Miami gurus or people that you see online that, buy expensive shit to sell their stuff. You can ask them how much money they have in their bank account. And that is the question that matters. I don't care about what you bought, what you have, or what you could spend. I don't care that your Amex bill says $16,000. Congratulations for being financially irresponsible. I will not buy a car. I will not buy an expensive apartment. I will not do anything beyond my means until those are my means, which is how it should be in the first place. 1 million liquid is literally selling something that's 5K 200 times. And in each client, whether it's an agency client or a coaching client, whatever it is, if their LTV is around 5K, 200 clients over the next 2 years, how hard could that be? That is not very difficult. The difficult part comes from having the money and not touching it. That is the hardest part about all this. That is when the mental game just gets you because, yes, it's easy to make revenue. It is so fucking easy. I can pull in 20 to 30K in a month, just not even thinking about it in revenue. But the hard part comes from once you have that money in your bank account, not spending it, not making unnecessary hires, not jumping into ads prematurely, not taking a trip just because you feel like it or because you can. That is when it gets hard. And that is kind of the mental shift that's required over the next couple of years that I know I'm going to have to, deal with. And I've already learned from. It's I can't spend shit. Okay. I'm not going to go out for food. I'm not going to, I am going to literally hunker down because this whole internet money game, obviously you can always make more by having the skills, right? That's obvious. But you are always in survival mode if you continue to spend so much. 1 mil liquid is only possible by being extremely frugal. You're not going to 1 second hit viral, get virality and just immediately have a huge following and then there oh wow, $1 million in a month, done. But if you continue the same spending habits when you're at 20K a month, 30, 40, 50K a month, and when you're at 100K a month, and when you're at $1 million a month, if you maintain the same spending habits as you go up, you will never have money in your account. Ever. And I know this for a fact because I've learned from my successful friends. I've got some friends that have made $500,000 in a given month with their agency. But to do that, they spent $600K. And from the outside perspective, when you look at that and you just look at that payment process, you're like, holy cow, $500K in a month? What? You're crushing it. Even though they're broker than people that are at zero because they spent so much. That is crazy. Obviously, that was money that was well invested into the business and ads and stuff. But it's crazy to me that these people have such high dreams and high goals, yet throw themselves in such an uncomfortable position, sacrificing things that they don't need to sacrifice, and ultimately just spending way more than they can handle, living above their means, hoping that something will just magically click and they'll start to make more money. I made more once I moved out of living in an expensive and crazy cool environment. I left Dubai early because I was losing more money than I was making. I am at home right now because I don't have any expenses and I'm 19 years old. Why would I not just work all day, save everything I make? Because that is going to give me the real opportunities. I think once you have 100K, that is when you can see, you have more opportunities. You can see bigger things in perspective. And it's most people don't even ever get there, right? Because they spend it all. Oh, I'm making 5K a month. Oh, I'm going straight to Bali. It's like, dude, are your dreams that small? Like, why don't you just hunker down for 2 years? I mean, you have an entire life. Something I really think about this a lot when I'm like thinking about this whole million liquid goal is like, I'm 19. I have, God willing, 80 years. What is 2 whole entire years of complete sacrifice going to do in the grand scheme of things? Well, one, it's going to set me up financially, probably for life. Is that a trade you're willing to make? Because that's what I'm willing to make, and that's what it's going to take to get to the 1 million liquid. Sacrifice. That's the biggest thing. Saving money, sacrifice, focusing on long-term partnerships with B2B clients, and serious sacrifice. I'm talking like I'm literally planning on hunkering down and doing nothing but working out, or eating for like literally 2 years. It sucks. It is not easy. It is not fucking fun. I don't wake up, ride the train to the beach, enjoy the day, have some margaritas, which I did with my friends literally a couple months ago. But I just want more now. I don't care about these small numbers and these revenue numbers. These don't matter to me. I care about what is going home in my bank account every single month. And that it's actually growing. That is important to me. This whole 1 mil goal is just going to be completely done by sacrifice. Removing all the status games from my life, removing women from my life, not hanging out with friends almost ever, like maybe once a month, like cutting off all these old people that haven't served me, being extremely focused and working on the same thing for 2 years straight. Like, if you guys see my habit tracker, which I know some of you have seen, and maybe I could make a video on like habits and stuff, but like, it's like a whole nother level. And it's just what's required. I think people don't do this thing right. They think that because they're working every day, because they're living the lifestyle and they're getting their fucking zip button ups and they're going to Abu Dhabi's or F1 races in Monaco, or like, they think because of that they're just going to suddenly make so much more. But you can't do anything if you don't have money. The reason why we got into this is to have freedom, right? To live how you want, to do what you want. But I don't think freedom comes from living how you want and doing what you want. I think freedom comes from having the option to do whatever. And none of us have the option until you have a ton of money saved, a ton of money liquid, a ton of money invested, where you can literally just live off of residuals. Like, that is it. So that's my plan over the next 2 years, to grow Agency Link on the back end and the side of things, while I focus on long-term partnerships and strategic partnerships with my agency, to grow companies with paid ads and AI for the next 2 whole years, and build a brand while doing so, to find more like-minded people, to accelerate the growth of the agency by learning more about what other people are doing. And over 2 years of doing that, of monk mode for at least this whole year, I think we'll be able to hit it. So yeah, I don't care about cars and status games. I will be so far ahead of everyone else that participates in those things, just because I'm mature financially. Like, I'm not going to spend my money. I will invest it. People forget about compound interest. Like, if I go on a compound interest calculator and I put in like 1 mil, it's like, it ends up being like 20 some mil. Like, it's scary to me to spend money right now, because like, I know that if I put it into private equity, or I put it into the S&P, it's like I will get a 9% return on every single year. 9 to 18%, depending on like if it's private equity or S&P. Like, that money compounds like a motherfucker. Like, I'm talking like, let me do the test. Compound interest calculator. So let's say you put $1 million into the S&P, and I will be 21, so it'll basically grow for ever, but let's just, for time horizon, say 30 years, because from 22 to 20/21 to like 50, like this is by the time I'm 50, Okay, let's say it's the S&P, so like an average return of like 9%. Okay. 0. 14 mil. And that is with literally 2 years of sacrifice. That's enough to live like forever. If I put this in 50 years, 74 mil. If I put this in by the time I'm 21 and I let it grow until I'm like 70, that is literally 74 mil. What are you ever going to do with that? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. So the point is like money has so much power, especially if you leverage it right and use it right. And by throwing it away on stupid things just to kind of serve your short-term games and your little dopamine addictions and your status games, like by throwing away long-term financial freedom for something like that, get off this fucking channel. It's not for you. I'm here for the long term, baby. I'm here for compound interest, and I'm not here for these little games. So, yeah, that's my plan to get to 1 mil liquid. Hope you enjoyed, but yeah.